Hey everyone, Alex here. If you're just getting into woodworking, it's so easy to fall into the trap of buying every tool you see in the aisle, or worse, online. I remember those days, thinking if I just bought the right tool, suddenly all my projects would turn out perfect. But here's the deal. Beginners often waste a ton of money on tools they think they need but end up gathering dust, only adding frustration and emptying your wallet. Today, I want to save you from making those same mistakes. In this video, we're going over 7 woodworking tools you should not buy as a beginner. I'll show you what to use instead, so you can build your skills and your shop without the headaches. Trust me, steering clear of these money traps will save you both cash and a lot of frustration down the road. Stick around because tool number 6 is something almost every beginner regrets buying. I know I did. Let's start with the first one. Let's talk about hand planes. You see them everywhere, those shiny budget-friendly hand planes that promise to flatten and smooth wood with ease. But here's the truth. Most cheap hand planes are more trouble than they're worth. They're often made with poor quality metal, loose handles, and blades that won't hold an edge. As a beginner, you're probably thinking you'll save money by grabbing a $20 plane, but what you're really buying is a ticket to frustration. In my early days, I made this mistake. I spent hours fiddling with the adjustment knob, trying to get a clean shaving, but all I got was tear out and chatter marks. The mouth of the plane wouldn't stay tight, and the blade dulled after just a few passes. You end up spending more time adjusting and sharpening than actually woodworking. That's not the kind of learning experience you want as a beginner. So what should you do instead? Honestly, if you're just starting out, skip the hand plane altogether for now. Focus on sanding blocks, a good orbital sander, or even a sharp chisel for cleaning up edges. These tools will get you smooth results without the frustration of a cheap plane. When you're ready, and you've got some experience under your belt, then it makes sense to invest in a quality hand plane, a tool you'll keep for life. But for now, don't let a bargain bin plane set you back. Build up your basics, and wait until you know exactly what you want from a hand tool. Your future self will thank you. There's a real satisfaction in using a hand plane that's properly tuned, but that shouldn't be your first introduction to woodworking. You want to build confidence, not get discouraged by a tool that fights you at every turn. I've seen so many beginners give up on hand tools just because they started with something too cheap to work well. Remember, woodworking is about enjoying the process. Tools should make your work easier, not harder. So skip the cheap hand plane and focus on building your skills with simpler, more reliable tools first. Next up, let's talk about mini table saws and those really small budget table saws. I know they look tempting, especially if you're tight on space or cash, but here's the hard truth. Most mini table saws just can't cut it, literally and figuratively. They lack power, their fences are wobbly, and the tiny tables make it nearly impossible to get a straight, safe cut. I've tried a few of these over the years, hoping they'd be a handy addition for quick jobs. Every time, I ended up frustrated. The motor's bogged down in anything thicker than a 1/4 inch, and the safety features are almost always an afterthought. You're fighting the tool instead of focusing on your project. That's not a safe way to work, especially as a beginner. So, what's a better option? Pick up a decent circular saw and make a straight cutting guide. With just a piece of plywood and a clamp, you can make accurate, repeatable cuts. No table saw required. Plus, a circular saw is portable and useful for tons of jobs around the shop and even at home. I've built entire pieces of furniture using just a circular saw and a simple guide. You'll get cleaner cuts and a lot more versatility. And when you're ready to upgrade, you can look for a quality full-size table saw, knowing exactly what features matter to you. Don't fall for the mini table saw hype. They're limited, hard to keep accurate, and can actually slow down your progress. Invest in a good circular saw and learn how to use it safely. You'll be amazed at what you can do with just that and a straight edge. Remember, bigger isn't always better, but you want a tool that's up for the job. Save your money and avoid the frustration. Skip the mini saws and focus on tools that will grow with you. Let's move on to a classic beginner purchase, the big shiny router bit set. You know the ones, 20, 30, even 50 bits in a fancy box. It feels like you're getting a deal, but here's the reality. You'll probably only use 3 or 4 of those bits, tops. The rest, they just sit there, gathering dust. When I started, I thought having every possible profile would make me a better woodworker. but most of those bits are for really specific tasks you won't need for years, if ever. And with cheaper sets, the steel is often soft and dulls quickly, which can burn your wood and even damage your router. Instead, buy your router bits one at a time. Start with a good quality straight bit, a flush trim bit, and a round over bit. These three will cover 90% of beginner projects, and you'll actually get to know how they work. When you run into a project that needs a special bit, that's the time to buy it, not before. Buying bits individually means you can choose better brands and get carbide-tipped options that stay sharp way longer. You'll save money in the long run, and your projects will turn out better too. It's easy to fall in love with the idea of having every tool, but experience shows that less is more, especially when it comes to router bits. A few high-quality bits will serve you better than a whole drawer of cheap ones. So, don't get lured in by the big set. Build your collection slowly, based on what you actually need. Your wallet and your woodworking will thank you. Now let's dig into drill bits. Every hardware store has those massive multi-piece drill bit sets for a bargain price, but here's the problem. Cheap drill bits dull fast, break easily, and can even burn your wood. As a beginner, that's not just annoying, it can actually ruin your projects. I've been there, starting a new project and realizing halfway through that the bit is already dull. You end up pushing harder, the wood starts to smoke, and before you know it, your holes are messy, and the bit is toast. Cheap bits just aren't worth the hassle, and honestly, they can even be dangerous if they snap. Instead, invest in a small set of high-quality bits. Look for brands that use good steel and have a reputation for holding an edge. You don't need every size under the sun, just the basics, and you can add more as you go. A good set will last you years, and you'll spend less time fighting with your tools. Plus, the holes will be cleaner, and you'll have a lot more confidence in your work. Trust me, once you use a sharp, well-made bit, you'll never go back to the cheap sets. In woodworking, your drill is one of your most used tools, so don't skimp here. Quality over quantity every time. So skip the bargain bin drill bit sets. Start with a handful of good ones and buy more only as you actually need them. Your projects and your patience will both benefit. Now, let's talk about jigs. There's a jig for just about everything these days. Dovetail jigs, box joint jigs, pocket hole jigs, biscuit joiner jigs. It's tempting to think you need them all, but as a beginner, most of these specialized jigs are just overkill. I see it all the time. Beginners spend a bunch of money on jigs they don't even know how to use yet. They end up taking up space, collecting dust, and complicating the learning process. The truth is, you can make simple jigs yourself with just some scrap wood and a few basic tools. Not only do you save money, but you learn valuable skills in the process. Making your own jigs lets you customize them for your specific projects. You'll get a better understanding of joinery and problem solving, which is way more valuable than just following the instructions for a store-bought jig. Sure, some jigs are handy once you're working on more advanced projects or bigger batches, but at the start, keep it simple. Focus on learning the basics with the tools you have. A good square, some clamps, and a little creativity go a long way. Don't let marketing convince you that you need every specialty jig on the shelf. Build your skills first, and make or buy jigs only when you find a real need in your workflow. Simple shop-made jigs will get you through most beginner projects, and you'll feel a lot more accomplished when you build something yourself, even if it's just a simple guide. Alright, let's talk clamps, tool number 6, and honestly, probably the biggest regret for most beginners. I've been there, and I hear it from everyone. You go for the bargain pack of clamps thinking more is better, but cheap clamps flex, slip, or just don't hold pressure where you need it. Nothing is more frustrating than gluing up a project only to find out your clamps let it shift or pop open. I'll never forget the first time I did a panel glue up with bargain clamps. As soon as I tightened them down, they bent, and my boards drifted out of alignment. The glue dried, and the panel was ruined. I've seen beginners lose entire projects because their clamps couldn't hold up under pressure. Here's what you should do instead. Buy just a few high-quality clamps. You don't need a dozen right away. Start with a couple of sturdy F-style or parallel jaw clamps. They'll hold your work tight and true, and you can add more as you take on bigger projects. Good clamps are an investment, but they last forever. You'll use them on every project and they'll never let you down. Over time, you'll build a collection that actually works, instead of a pile of broken or useless clamps. Don't let the price tag scare you off. Think of clamps as part of the foundation of your workshop. It's better to have a few that work perfectly than a dozen that don't do the job. So, skip the cheap clamps and save yourself a ton of frustration. Your glue-ups, and your sanity, will thank you. Finally, let's talk about specialty tools. Those fancy gadgets that promise to make you an instant pro. Things like dovetail saws, doweling jigs, or digital angle finders. These tools have their place, but buying them before you've learned the basics is a common trap for beginners. I'll admit, it's easy to get caught up in the hype. You see a beautiful project online, and the creator's using an expensive specialty tool. But without the fundamentals, those tools won't help much. In fact, they can make things more confusing and take your focus away from mastering the essential skills. The best thing you can do as a beginner is to get comfortable with the core tools, measuring, cutting, shaping, and joining wood with simple, reliable equipment. Once you've got the basics down, specialty tools can help you take your work to the next level, but if you jump ahead, you'll spend a lot of money for not much payoff. When you understand how things fit together, what a good joint feels like, and how to troubleshoot problems, then those advanced tools become a real asset. You'll know when and why to use them, and you'll get way more value out of each one. So, before you splurge on the latest specialty tool, ask yourself, have I mastered the basics? If not, hold off for now. Focus on building your skills and invest in specialty tools only when you're ready to use them to their full potential. Remember, a great woodworker isn't defined by the tools they own, but by what they can do with whatever's on hand. Build your foundation first, and the rest will follow. So, there you have it. 7 woodworking tools beginners should steer clear of, and what to use instead. By avoiding these money traps, you're not just saving cash, you're building a workshop that actually works for you, not against you. Trust me, your woodworking journey will be smoother, and you'll have a lot more fun along the way. Focus on a small set of versatile, high-quality tools. As your skills grow, you'll naturally discover what you truly need, and you can add to your collection with confidence. It's all about building slowly and learning as you go. No need to rush or fill your shop with tools you'll never use. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever regretted a tool purchase? Drop your story in the comments below. Let's help each other out. And stay tuned because my next video will cover 10 woodworking tools every beginner actually needs. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you, and I'll see you in the next one.